more? Let's cross now to ground zero and the site of the explosion. Speak to our reporter, Nadia Massey, standing by. Nadia, several days on, and the toll, the scale of devastation still unfolding. We see it behind you. Tell us a little bit about where you are.
Yeah, hello, Will, from what is really ground zero of this awful catastrophe here in Beirut. I am just next to the grain silo at the heart of this explosion where everything took place a few days ago. Let me show you what we can see around me here. These were once crates holding food for Lebanon. You can see here we've got pasta, we've got rice, we're surrounded by crates holding nuts as well, clothes for some people. This looks like an area that was both bringing in some of that crucial food that is needed for Lebanon, but also housing belongings of people who are either moving in or out of the country. There's a box over there holding photographs of family members, clearly very personal belongings that have been destroyed as part of the wreckage here. Now, as you can see around me here, we've got the huge grain silo just above me, where you can see that has been totally decimated. That grain silo, absolutely crucial to bringing food into this country. In the last couple of months, around 80% of Lebanon's food comes in through this port. That's because its border is with Israel that's closed, the other border with Syria because of the civil war there, meaning very little food can come in. So this port is crucial to bringing in food for Lebanon. And you can just see the scale of the devastation here, meaning it is a real concern in the coming months where some of that food will come from. Now, I was speaking a little bit earlier today with a member of the French civil defense team, and I asked him, first of all, whether they were still looking for survivors here. He said, of course, they hope for a miracle, but the chances are by this point, over 5 days after the explosion, it is extremely unlikely they will find anybody alive here. Really now, this is a search to recover bodies amid the rubble here.
Yes, Nadia, as we're looking at those images, we're seeing what is the heart of the city, the heart of the economy in total devastation. And this is definitely feeding into all this anger we've seen with Lebanon's ruling class.
Yeah, well, it's hard to really express the scale of the anger that Lebanese people feel towards their government at the moment and their political class in general. Of course, we saw those major protests in Lebanon last year, people then saying the government was corrupt and incompetent, needed to go in an entire change of the political system here. But despite those protests, we saw the installation of a prime minister who'd previously been in power in the past, so really no big change. Now we see this catastrophic accident that appears to have been a result of gross negligence on the behalf of the Lebanese authorities, meaning that anger that we saw at the end of last year has been doubled, tripled, quadrupled, and we expect major protests here in Beirut, not far from where I am in downtown, a bit later on today. We've already heard chants like Mashal Aoun, that's Lebanon's president, "You are a terrorist." There are calls for the entire political class to go, and it is worth pointing out that actually there's a petition online that's gathered, I believe now over 100,000 signatures calling for France to take over the running of Lebanon for 10 years, as it did during the mandate period. And that perhaps an indication of the scale of dissatisfaction that Lebanese people have with their political leadership. So a good deal of anger here, a good deal of grief, and as you can see, a huge amount of devastation as well.